What's up everybody, Steve here to give you my full and final thoughts on the continuing story of Arthur Fleck and the introduction of Harley Quinn in Joker, Folie. Once again, Todd Phillips is behind the camera. The film is rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 18 minutes. Joker, Folie finds Arthur Fleck institutionalized at Arkham awaiting trial for his crimes as Joker. While struggling with his dual identity, Arthur not only stumbles upon true love in the form of Lady Gaga's Lee Quinn, but also finds the music that's always been inside him. I've been apprehensive about how to approach this review, but I think the best and easiest thing to do is to list my positives first and then, the negatives. And FYI, I will be delving into spoilers later in the video, so for your safety, if you do not want to have any important moments that happen towards the end of the film ruined for you, I suggest going to the table of contents that I've listed down below and skipping that spoiler portion of my review. I will of course give a final warning before delving into said spoilers, so for now, you're good. The first thing I have to commend are the performances between Gaga and Phoenix. I think the dynamic that Harley and Joker have as characters is very important when it comes to establishing that toxic relationship, and I felt that it was well done with these two. For the most part, they have great chemistry together, and I think the underlying traits that make this on-screen romance so toxic were handled well, like I said, for the most part. Although I can definitely see people being upset about some of the choices that were made with Lee as a character, but we'll get to that. The cinematography was also, once again, top-notch. I mean, there are definitely some striking shots here, just like there were in the first film, and that is thanks to Lawrence Sher, who returns from the first film, so I'm glad that the continuity was kept to keep that vision consistent in terms of the imagery. All right, as for my positives, that's pretty much it. I think it's time to buckle up for the rest of this review. Now, let me start off by saying that I love the first Joker film. I understand people were divided on it, but everything from the direction to the cinematography to the score, and especially the gradual transformation of Arthur Fleck into the Joker was just handled so beautifully, in my opinion. It was the first R-rated film to reach $1 billion at the box office. It won Joaquin a Best Actor Oscar. It was a huge hit for Warner Brothers. So when they announced that they were going to be making a sequel, it immediately clicked with me that this was going to be pretty much a cash grab to try to have another win for Warner Brothers. The first film felt like a one-off story. It did not really need to have a sequel. So when the details came out that it will star Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn and that there would be musical moments in the film, I was definitely scratching my head. And my reservations were confirmed upon watching the film that these types of things just don't work here. The film doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know what type of audience it's for. It's trying to be a courtroom drama, but also a musical. And those two aspects really clash, and it made the entire experience just feel like a really jumbled mess. I want to start with the courtroom scenes. The scenes completely undid the sort of unreliable narration aspect of the first film. The crimes that he committed in that film, you could kind of be led to think that they didn't really happen in reality, that they probably happened in his head. It was that type of aspect that made the film really so striking to me, because you just never really know if he's telling the truth or not, or if this is all happening in his mind. But no, the crimes that he committed did happen, and he's now having to face the consequences of those murders, hence the trial. And during these moments, and pretty much the entire run of the film really, Arthur's character arc kind of takes a step back instead of taking a meaningful step forward. He's back to being a mentally ill Arthur Fleck, who is continually harassed in Arkham and beaten up, and his Joker persona has almost become too big for him to handle, and he's struggling with trying to live up to that persona. It was kind of disappointing. And I'll be making comparisons a lot to the first film, by the way, as I feel it's kind of impossible not to. By the end of the first Joker, you see him take the blood from his mouth and, smear it into a smile, signifying that he's transformed, that he isn't Arthur anymore. That evolution was completely undone and in a sense brought Arthur back to square one in terms of character progression. It was a character regression. Also, the score with returning composer Hildur Gudnadottir, I think I'm pronouncing that right, is completely overshadowed by the musical scenes. I could not recall a single moment where her score stood out in the way that it did in the first film. It was a complete afterthought, really, which is a real shame because her music was so haunting and sad and really spoke to the broken person that Arthur was and his slow transition into becoming Joker. She should have gotten more recognition here for her work, but I don't have any moments that really stood out to me where her music just really made sense. And that's a good segue into the worst aspect of this film, which is, of course, the musical moments. They at first kind of ease you into those moments and make them sort of appear as if they're happening in Arthur's head, so I didn't mind it too much, but then they would just kind of happen in other moments where I felt like they had no real impact. They definitely had production value to them and they were beautifully shot, there's no denying that, but they just didn't belong in most moments. And when a scene was getting quite intense in terms of performances, it would lead into a musical scene, and that really affected the pacing and made the film feel so much longer than it actually was. Okay, from here on out, I will be delving into spoilers, so if you do not want the last portions of the film ruined for you, then I suggest skipping to my overall score. Again, this is your final warning. Okay, so I wanted to delve into Gaga's version of Harley Quinn, otherwise known as Lee Quinn in this film, and the creative choices that they took with her character. So it was always known in the animated series and in the comics that Joker and Harley have a very toxic relationship. Joker is always abusing her and manipulating her to achieve his own ends. In this version, that is flipped to where Harley is the manipulator and Joker is the abused. She lied about her past and checked herself into Arkham to be closer to Arthur, and they do keep some of her backstory intact where she was in grad school for her psych degree, her dad's a doctor. And the main issue isn't with the flip itself, but the fact that there was no justifiable reason for her to do that outside of the fact she just wanted him to stay the Joker. She just didn't have a meaningful arc. She was just kind of there. It just seemed rather lazy to me. I also forgot to mention that Harvey Dent makes an appearance in this film as the DA that's prosecuting Arthur. He does meet his origin into Two-Face like Bruce did in the first Joker film. Arthur represents himself in court after firing his lawyer and renounces his Joker persona and takes full responsibility for his actions, hence the character regression. A car bomb goes off outside the courthouse, which leaves multiple people either dead or injured, and Harvey Dent is one of these injured people who has, burn scars on half of his face. That's pretty much how it happens. So once Arthur is sent back to Arkham, an inmate tells him a bad joke and then proceeds to stab him multiple times. And in the background, just out of focus, while Arthur bleeds and is dying, the inmate proceeds to start carving his face while laughing hysterically, giving off this impression that Arthur was never the real Joker, that this is the real Joker. It just felt kind of okay. I mean, this movie's kind of been off the rails from the start, so I guess might as well do this too. In the end, I'm giving Joker Folie a score of 1 out of 5. While the performances from Phoenix and Gaga were great, as well as the striking cinematography, this completely unnecessary sequel doesn't have anything clever to say by the end and completely undoes what made the first film such a great character study on mental illness and society's treatment of such, with creative choices made that had no payoff whatsoever. But now I'm dying to know what you guys thought about Joker Folie. What did you like about it? What did you hate about it? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, to hit that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new, sub to the channel, tick the bell, and you can always stay up to date on when my next review or reaction drops on the channel. Thank you for watching, guys, and until next time, keep it classy and keep it geeky.
Sing hallelujah, come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day.